Well, this is it, the final season. We still have a movie left, but this is unfortunately it for the show. Season 5 is a season that, if I'm being honest, I didn't remember a single thing from before returning. The only thing I remembered from this season was the final episode, Things Change. I remember watching a video about this show and seeing some of the honorary titans that appear in this season like Kole, Gnark, and Argent and being so confused. Like, literally nothing but the final episode was familiar to me, and honestly, I loved it. It almost felt like after all this time I was finally seeing new episodes from this show again. This season also has a very different vibe to it compared to the others, for obvious reasons too. The Titans aren't home at all during this season. Most of the episodes are introducing new heroes and villains to build up to the big fight at the end, and the main Titans are separated for the most part. This season feels very similar to the feeling of going from Justice League to Justice League Unlimited. We go from our team that we've been following to the same team but with a huge roster addition in a short time. I honestly love some of the new heroes we meet, and that feeling of utter hopelessness and defeat after Brain makes his move and starts picking apart the Titans one by one. There's also a huge lack of Slade, especially since it's the final season, but honestly it makes sense, because after season 4, Slade makes it very clear he doesn't work for anyone, so he wouldn't fit in this storyline well, since he obviously wouldn't join the Brotherhood of Evil. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about with all the new heroes and villains that appear, so let's get into it.
If he builds it, I'm gonna break it. That's the way we do things in the Doom Patrol.
Well, in case you haven't noticed, this isn't the Doom Patrol.
With Homecoming, we see Beast Boy's past, before the Titans, when he was a part of the Doom Patrol, and I gotta be honest, I do not fuck with them. This is my first introduction to this team, and it does not leave me wanting to see more from them. Mento is such an asshole, and for what? He was mad Beast Boy didn't follow orders, but in hindsight, he made the right play. He turned into a T-Rex and broke his friends free, and then they were able to stop the black hole machine. And if you notice, because of how young Beast Boy is, and it seems like it's his first time changing into something so big, he passes out almost immediately after setting the Doom Patrol free. Had he have listened to Mento and tried to destroy the black hole machine, had he have failed, they're all doomed, and even if he did destroy it, they're all just sitting ducks. So him being so mad at Beast Boy just felt dumb. Also, Robot Man is also a bit of an ass himself. Him constantly putting down the Titans after saving him and acting like they're useless because they're so young is annoying. The other two members are fine, but I hate how Elastigirl clearly doesn't agree with the way Mento does things, but she never says anything and just goes with it and accepts it. She has Beast Boy's back in silence, but never outspoken about it. Speaking on the episode though, why did Brain keep the Doom Patrol alive for so long? He wasn't using them for anything, and then 5 months later he decides, fine, now I'll do it. It just doesn't make much sense. Also, when they started crushing Elastigirl, once the Titans and Robot Man showed up, they just stopped for some reason. Then again, at the end, Beast Boy chooses to save his friends instead of chasing Brain, and this time it makes even more sense to do it. Here, they literally all would have been killed. Not only that, but imagine Beast Boy chases Brain and loses to Mala. Then what? Now everyone is dead and Beast Boy is alone and doesn't know what they're planning or where they went and has to figure it out alone. It makes way more sense to not let both his teams get killed so they can all go after Brain later, especially since Mento knows what Brain is planning. Like, I feel like Mento makes no sense. He knows that Beast Boy doesn't know what they're planning or where their base is, and since he knows how dangerous of a plan Brain has, surely he'd think it's better for all of them to be together to stop Brain, again, especially because Mento knows where their base is and what they're doing. Mento has such a major stick up his ass, it's so annoying.
We're all very proud of you, Garfield. Take care.
In Homecoming Part 2, again, Mento is on his tirade of dumbassery, and Robot Man isn't far behind. Like, on what planet do you not want the Titans' help? I hate the bullshit response of,
You kids have no idea what we're up against.
like, sure, but you do, and you should know that you could use all the help you can get, because again, like Mento keeps saying, what they are planning is very bad and dangerous. You're making it harder for no reason. Also, the Titans beat Trigon and stopped the literal end of the world. I think a tube with a brain in it and a talking gorilla will be fine for them to handle. Mento is also so obsessed with leaving people behind. It's like his biggest dream is to die as a hero in battle, which is why he's always mad at Beast Boy for saving them because he's robbing him of a hero's death. Mento always says there's no time to help them, but if you take the time to fight as a team and help, then you have a much better chance and easier time completing the mission. Like, look at this. Elastigirl is right there under the rubble, and there are no enemies in sight, yet you're standing there telling Beast Boy there's no time to help her, but if you just help her instead of standing there arguing, she'd be freed by now. He is such a lousy leader, and I hate that they tried to make him come around in the end and act like he's a good leader.
This Robin sounds like a pretty good leader.
He is. And so are you.
But everything was going wrong while he was calling the shots. But then when he started doing it Beast Boy's way, that's when it started working. He was forcing them on a suicide mission when he didn't need to at all. He had every opportunity to ask the Titans for help and had every opportunity to save his friends, but he has such a boner for going out as a hero, he's willing to kill his whole team for it. I literally cannot stand this guy.
You know something, son? You turned out okay.
Thanks to you.
On another note, they said Negative Man was running out of time to get back to his body and then he fails to make it and falls through the floor, but he was only separated for like 2 minutes there, and earlier he was separated for 5 months and seemed fine. Also at the end, when you see the cast of villains that are joining the Brotherhood of Evil, you see the Supreme Leader Tofu guy, but didn't Cyborg eat him? How was he even here? Also, I doubt Red X would join them.
It was Madame Rouge. She looked like Robin. You look like Robin. You look like Robin, but I know you're Madame Rouge. You're always Madame Rouge.
In Trust, we see that Madame Rouge is tasked to steal a Titan communicator so the Brotherhood knows every move the Titans make, and she goes after Wildebeest and Hotspot, who are just honorary members, to do so. It's cool to see Hotspot again, and also cool we get to see what he looks like when he powers down. I feel like Madame Rouge was being so pushy about Hotspot powering down that he should have realized something was up way earlier. Toward the end too, he blasts both Robins since he didn't know who the real one was, but then after the fire blast show who the real one is, why did he run away? Just to get tricked later? Why not stay and fight now that you know who the real one is? Also, how was Madame Rouge able to beat Hotspot if she wasn't able to touch him?
Hey, you're not the Teen Titans.
We're Titans East.
For Real is a fun episode with Control Freak having to deal with a different Titan team than what he's used to, and honestly this episode does a better job at making the Titans East look good than the ones we got in season 3. Also, seeing Control Freak on his equivalent of Reddit is so funny.
My name is Red Star, and you may go at any time you wish. It is I who may not leave.
Snowblind is our introduction to Red Star, and I do like him. He's just a sweet guy wanting to do good, but his powers make him not able to. I do find it funny his origin is just basically Russian Captain America, and his face is so small, like it'd be so satisfying to go into Photoshop and just enlarge his face. And I probably would have too had my Photoshop not expired and it wasn't so expensive.
You got any lights?
Sorry, we're pretty low tech down here.
In this episode, we meet Kole, a futuristic, almost alien-looking girl who only knows the move Harden, and Gnark, a caveman who uses Kole as a weapon. I do like Kole, she's pretty funny, and watching her give Dr. Light shit is great. Gnark was annoying at first, and he's a sore-ass loser, but by the end of the episode, he grew on me.
Say goodbye to your friends.
Nobody messes with my kids.
In Hide and Seek, Raven is tasked to meet up with 3 new members, but little does she know they are literal children. This episode was one that, while it was starting, I felt like I wasn't gonna like, but it's so funny. And seeing Raven having to babysit is such a good idea. Plus it's sweet seeing her come around to them at the end and basically start acting like she's their mom.
Good idea, Robin. Put Raven in charge of the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Robin 100% did that on purpose. He knew what he was doing.
Who are you?
Kid Flash. Fastest boy alive.
Lightspeed is our intro to Kid Flash, and I absolutely love this guy. He has so much personality. He's so funny, and he got the hero trope of trying to convert the villain and believing they could be better, even though he only thought that because he had a crush on Jinx, but still. Part of me wants a season 6 just for the opportunity to see him more, and I would even love to see a spin-off show of just him. Seymour looks freaky with this giant flying eye, and Kid Flash actually just robbed Mammoth, like he paid for that candy bar and everything. Also, during the fight with the High Five, Billy was making a path out of his clones, forcing Kid Flash to run in a certain direction, but why didn't he just run through the Billy and not allow him to control where he goes? I mean, he literally does it later when Billy makes a tower out of himself. Then later, when he's captured at the Hive's base, shouldn't they have known he was able to get free since he got out to get the snacks? I also love seeing the Hive dynamic in this episode, because again, it's just like the Titans, just they go out and do bad things instead of good. I mean, look how excited they are to build a fort out of couch cushions. And why does everyone in this damn show have a crush on Jinx, Cyborg, Seymour, and now Kid Flash? Like damn, she's got a hold on these boys.
You want it back, you'll need to beat me in a race. That's if you have the wheels for it.
Revved Up is one of those in-between storyline episodes, and it's a very fun episode. But how does someone like Ding Dong Daddy steal something from Robin, especially something Robin says is very important to him? And why did they accept the race for it in the first place, instead of just kicking his ass then and there if it's that important? I doubt Ding Dong Daddy would stand much of a chance in a 1v5 fight. I mean, I get that it's just a fun episode and they just needed a reason for the episode to happen in the first place, and it isn't much more complicated than that, but still. I also love seeing Red X helping Robin again. Even though at first he was getting in the way, after Robin saves him, he comes around and takes out everyone else in the race, which was so badass.
But if you want our friendship, you've got it.
Guess we could all use some new friends.
Besides,
We kind of made a good team.
Go is one of my favorite episodes from this series, and honestly, I love that they left it for the final season. Seeing how the Titans met and got together right before we'd basically never see them again is such a cool send-off episode. I love seeing how Batman Robin is acting in this episode too, since he's just going solo, and the way they come together and the way Cyborg is hiding himself gives a very Fantastic Four vibe, and Cyborg just gives a very Thing vibe too. Also, Beast Boy is so funny, man. I feel like I'm saying this a lot, but I don't know, these later seasons have such good comedy and writing. Cyborg also mentions at the beginning of the season that Beast Boy never mentioned he was part of the Doom Patrol, but like, it's literally one of the first things he says to him when they meet.
All right, I'm only gonna say this once. Booyah!
Robin's strategy has failed, and one by one, they will fall.
So Calling All Titans is our start to the two-part finale, and there are a barrage of new characters in here, so let's go over them real quickly. First is Argent. She looks cool, and her powers are almost like a Green Lantern ability. I wasn't sold on Bushido at first, but his intro fight scene was so fire, and I do really like Pantha as a character. Harold is very unique and uses a trumpet to open rifts, and this guy seems OP as hell. One blow on his horn and that's it, GG. And he can also fight? Jericho is the last, and he's mad creepy. No talking, and his eyes are just wide and stare straight into your soul. Granted, he does have to look into someone's eyes to take over their body. During this episode, Brain makes his move and sends the Brotherhood after the Titans to overwhelm them. But one thing I noticed was that the High Five were helping the Brotherhood of Evil when they specifically said that they had no interest in the Brotherhood in the first place. And the Brotherhood, or at least Madame Rouge, had no interest in their help either. Jinx was the only one that showed any interest, and she's not even a part of the team anymore. Almost forgot about Kilowatt, and his design is so sick, but bro went out to the Puppet King in a fist fight. Like, that's so embarrassing. Also, I feel like Lightning should low diff Overload in my opinion. He's like the literal god of lightning in this show. You should never be losing that.
So, does anyone actually have a plan?
Yes, we kick the butt.
Just like old times.
Except better.
Let's finish this.
Titans Together, for all intents and purposes, is the season finale. Still one episode left, but this finishes off the story arc. In this episode, there is a ragtag team of 5 Titans left after Brain picked them all apart, and they make their final attack. Watching Mas and Menos, it makes me want to learn Spanish so bad, then rewatching just to see what they've been saying this whole time. Also, isn't Red Star dead? It was left ambiguous after he blew up, but it was a huge explosion. Plus he was drifting in space, so how did he even make it back? Also cool to see the Sonic Boom callback from the first season. One thing I would like to mention is, why didn't the Doom Patrol help the Titans during this fight? Isn't their whole identity in this show been stopping Brain?
Things changed, Beast Boy. The girl you want me to be is just a memory.
Things change. I used to hold so much disdain for this episode. Ending the season on a cliffhanger, not answering so many questions we already had, like who is Red X, etc. And then raising more questions and leaving them unanswered, like how did Tara come back? Why didn't she remember anything from before? Or why is she pretending to not remember? And also, who is this white creature and how do they beat it? But then I came across this video of an interview with a couple members of the crew about a potential of a season 6, and he had this to say.
Is anyone at Warner Brothers or DC championing a season 6 of Teen Titans?
No. No. And I'll tell you why. Because I get this question all the time. The thing about the original Teen Titans is in season 5, we found out that we were gonna be ending with season 5. That's what the powers that be or whatever said that was going to happen, and it was out of our hands. That's what was going to happen, and we wanted to do a season 6, but it wasn't in the cards for us. And so we thought to ourselves, what is a teenager's last lesson? This is kind of graduation in a way. So what is the last thing that we all learn as teenagers? And we're thinking about high school, and you graduate, and they're friends that you had all your life. And you become very close to, and then for whatever reason, the relationship doesn't go the way that you think, and you never see these people. There's somebody that you thought that you'd be friends forever, and you never see them again. And maybe there was something that there's some closure that you wanted, but you know what? Life doesn't work that way. You know, once you become an adult, life doesn't work that way, and sometimes you just got to learn to move on. And so yes, there's unanswered questions. But they're unanswered for a reason. Because the last thing you got to learn is that life doesn't always work out the way you need to, but that doesn't mean that life's a bad thing. That's just the way you learn sometimes.
And now, it kinda all makes sense. It wasn't that they made the episode expecting a season 6, but then it got cancelled. This was their plan even when they knew this would be the final season. And this episode was one that Glenn wanted to do all the way back in season 3. This show, after all the lessons and themes they spread throughout, they gave us one final one. And it's in the title, Things Change. Things happen, people change, and whatever plan you had or whatever you expected of the future doesn't always pan out. They wanted and thought they'd get a season 6, but then things change. It got cancelled. There's nothing they can do about it. People want a 6th season so bad, but if one were to come out today, would we be able to watch it without nostalgia-tinted glasses? Or would it get panned by critics and fans saying how it doesn't stack up to the earlier seasons? I feel even if they went with their original plan they had for season 6 back in 2006, people would still complain about them ruining a classic. And then on the other side of things, at least at the time of the interview, they seem to have no interest in making a season 6. I wouldn't want a 6th season if their heart wasn't in it and they were just doing it because of the pressure from fans or maybe the studio. If a season 6 was to happen, I'd want them to have the same passion they had back with the original. One thing I love about the episode is the traffic light symbolism going red when Beast Boy is getting too pushy and focusing on the past Terra, and then changing to green when he's just being in the moment with the new Terra. Also the framing symbolism of the wall dividing them and then the frames sliding away from each other showing a disconnect. After getting older and seeing this interview, this ending almost feels perfect. And while my childlike selfishness still wishes we could get the answers to all these questions, I'm still happy and satisfied with what we got.
We have a common enemy. The Teen Titans and their friends will fall. Working together, we will destroy them, one by one.
There were a lot of new hero additions in this season, but there are just as many villains. When it comes to the Brotherhood of Evil, I'll probably just cover the main important ones and do a generalization of the Brotherhood itself for the rest. Regardless, we will still start with the radioactive monster from Snowblind. This thing was actually so freaky looking, and the fact it is pure radiation makes it so dangerous. This monster comes from Red Star himself, when there was a leak in his machine that absorbs his power once he starts to lose control, and all his sadness and anger manifested into this monster. I love how him fighting this monster almost feels like him finally conquering these insecurities. Now I'll talk about the changes to the Hive 5. Obviously our core 3 are here, but Private Hive is no longer a part of the team, and Kid Wicked takes his place. They also have an extra member with Billy Numerous, but it's fine, because Kid Flash saves us by converting Jinx to our side, so there's only 5 again. Kid Wicked's pretty cool. I really like his design, even though it's very Batman inspired. Also his powers just seem kinda cool. Up next, we got Ding Dong Motherfucking Daddy. I love the way he speaks, but it pisses me off at the same time. It's so hard to explain. And just the same, this guy would usually be a villain I do not like, but for some reason I can't bring myself to say I hate him. Now we get to the Brotherhood of Evil, and most of this group are old villains from the history of this show, but there are some newer faces, like this one wrestler guy, and I like that they mention a connection with him and Panther. It gives him more of an identity and a reason to be there. I do want to bring up Malchior's return specifically because he was such a tough villain in season 3 that the Titans couldn't even scratch, but then Harold just blows his horn and boom, he's gone. So underwhelming of a finish for a guy that seemed so strong before. Like, Puppet King does more for the Brotherhood than Malchior. The Brotherhood as a whole also make for a great final season big bad. The Titans needing to take down this entire cast of villains from their past and ones that they just came across is such a cool concept. Now to get to the main members of the Brotherhood, we will start with General Immortus. His concept I think is cool, where he is a genius when it comes to war tactics and strategies, simply because he's been around and a part of every war and battle. Madame Rouge is probably my favorite from the group. She's definitely the dangerous member. Her being able to disguise and mimic others, and she seems almost unstoppable. She somehow beat Hotspot even though he was her literal weakness, and I thought Robin outright murders her at first, but then she just forms back together. Mala is Brain's right-hand man, and he's just a worse Gorilla Grodd. He's smart and strong, but ultimately is just Brain's lapdog, and just serves almost as Brain's body. Then finally, Brain. He's the brains of the operation, cause he quite literally can't be anything else. His first plan making black holes I didn't really get, because doesn't he want to take over the world? But how do you do that if it's destroyed? But his plan to wipe out all the Titans went damn near flawlessly, and if it wasn't for the weaker members of the Brotherhood not being able to defeat the Titans they were tasked to, he would have just wiped out an entire generation of heroes. But a problem Brain seems to have is that he doesn't like to finish his enemies. He kept the Doom Patrol alive for 5 months, and then he was keeping the captured Titans as trophies, which ultimately leads to his defeat. Now the white creature who appears and things change. This guy is insanely OP. He can just adapt and change to anything he touches, and he's just so creepy. I really wish we could have seen how the Titans defeat this guy. Overall, season 5 is a great send-off for the Titans with so many perfect closing moments. I do wish we could have seen Slade a bit more, considering this was the final season. And of course, I'm still down for a season 6 to happen, if it ever does, as long as it's done right. But this show has so much replayability and an ending I've come to love and be satisfied with that I'm just happy the show exists at all. Now my top 5 favorite episodes from this season are 5. Hide and Seek, 4. Titans Together, 3. Lightspeed, 2. Things Change, and my favorite episode from the final season, season 5, is Go. And now a new top 5 I was saving for the end is my top 5 episodes from the show overall. At 5 we have Go, 4. The End Part 3, 3 is Fear Itself, 2. Nevermore, and my favorite episode from the Teen Titans series is How Long Is Forever. And there it is, all seasons from Teen Titans complete. All we got left are the movies. This show was my favorite show growing up and has held up today as my favorite show of all time. And I hold this show and characters very close to me, which is why I decided to make my first videos about them. If there ever is a season 6, best believe I will be on that shit immediately. But that looks very unlikely, so just like Beast Boy, we must move on. I hope you all enjoyed this video and the series dive as a whole. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your own favorite episodes from this season and the show in general in the comments below. And thanks for watching.
When there's trouble, you know who to call.